Hey, what's happening? This is Brian Prey, and I'm back down at my favorite place, the beach. It's a little bit chilly, it's a little bit windy, but I'm still going to go get a pretty nice walk in. But I wanted to spend a few minutes with you here to talk about what it takes time-wise to create a successful home-based business. And I think you're really going to be surprised at what the answer is. Now, the first thing that you need to do is you need to understand that when you're building a business from home, that there is no correlation between the amount of time that you spend and the amount of money that you're going to make. You need to eliminate that thinking from your mind. See, it's not like working a job. It's not like, you know, when you were 14, 15, 16 and you got your first job and people asked you what you made and you told them, yeah, I'm making, you know, $6.25 an hour. I'm making $8 an hour. I'm making $10 an hour. You know, even if you're making $100 an hour, the amount of money that you make is directly going to be determined by the amount of hours that you work. Now, when you're building a business, that's not the way it works, right? You are actually creating a money-making machine. See, when you're an employee, you are the machine. If you don't work, you don't get paid. When you build your own home-based business, that is your machine. You are fuel for the machine. And in the future, we'll talk about how you can actually find alternative fuel sources for your machine. But you're fuel for a machine that makes money. And unlike that job where you work and you work X amount of hours, and for most people we're tied up in the corporate environment of 40 hours a week being full-time, and you've got to rid yourself of that, because that's going to be a very limiting belief for you. So when you build as a home business entrepreneur and you build this money-making machine, you get to do work once and reap the rewards of that work over and over again. It's unlike a job where at the end of your pay period, whether it's a week or 2 weeks or a month, there's no reset button. You don't start back at zero. So the work that I did yesterday that paid me yesterday, well, it's going to pay me next month as well. So the work that I do next month will continue to build and grow that business and my earning potential. It's kind of like a snowball that starts at the top of a mountain and rolls down this snowy mountain, and as with each rotation, as it turns, it picks up more and more snow, and with that more and more momentum, and grows bigger and faster and stronger. Well, so is your home-based business. Now, to highlight this, I've got a perfect example for you. This is a real-life example. There's a guy I know. I don't know him all that well. And this story takes place up until about a month ago. But he was a corporate guy working a 40-hour-a-week job. He was an engineer. And he made a good living, right? I mean, he was, I don't know exactly what he made, but I believe he was right around the six-figure mark. And I think that's the barometer that most people use in terms of determining whether you're making a decent living or not. So he's making around $100,000 doing his corporate job. But, you know, he knew that it wasn't what he wanted to do forever. He knew that it wasn't going to provide for him the kind of income that he really wanted. He wanted more. He wanted to make more. He also wanted more lifestyle with it. And he knew that the corporate job could never provide that for him because, and I believe that his boss actually told him that it didn't matter how much he worked, that he wasn't going to get a raise or a bonus. And that's very discouraging. So, you know, a few years ago, he made the determination that he was going to build a home-based business, a network marketing business. And he started it, and he spent time on it. Now, his job, fortunately for him, was a little bit laid back, a little bit relaxed, and he was able to squeak out an hour or so out of his workday to focus on his home-based business. He also spent his lunch hours working on it. So by the time his workday was done, he was able to spend roughly 2 hours on his home-based business, on building that. And he's a family guy. He's got a wife. He's got kids. He'd come home. He'd spend time with them. And when they would go to bed, he would spend some more time on his business. So he would spend in a day anywhere from 4 to 6 hours on his business. So over the course of the week, that's 20 to 30 hours. And I understand that not everybody has that time. You know, not everybody has 4 to 6 hours a day to devote. But he was determined, and he wasn't going to stop until he got what he wanted, until he reached his goals. Now, if you spend less time, yes, it may take you a little bit longer, but again, your time isn't wasted in building a home-based business. So he starts his business, and it's small, but it's growing. And the work that he's putting in now is not lost. What the foundation that he's built is there, and each month that he adds to it, right? All the hours that he puts in, all these part-time hours, right? Because that's what it is. 20 hours a week would be considered part-time hours, even 30 hours a week. But it's building his business, and his business is growing, and it's starting to flourish. And fast forward a couple years, and his boss calls him into his office and informs him that he's being let go. And this guy he's ecstatic. You know, he's actually happy about it because, excuse me, he had been, you know, he had a plan in place where he was going to leave his job. However, he didn't feel totally comfortable with that. He didn't want to get fired. So this was a perfect scenario, right? He was let go, and I believe he actually even got a little severance, which is just kind of a bonus. But he was ecstatic. He was no longer shackled down by his corporate job. And when he went home, he went back and he took a look, a real good look at his figures. Now, he knew kind of what he was making, so he had an idea about this. But when he really ran the numbers, he realized that his home-based business was now earning him 5 times what his corporate job was earning him. In part-time hours, on a consistent basis, and consistency is the key, but part-time hours on a consistent basis, he was able to build something that far exceeded what he was able to do with his corporate job. Now, a lot of people think, oh, well, now he's got this extra 40 hours a week that he can devote to his new business. And while that's true, if that's what you're thinking, then you just don't get it, because he doesn't have to work any more than he already is. In fact, he could probably even take a little step back, but I doubt that he will. He probably will spend a little more time, and he'll grow his business bigger and faster. But he has just freed up 40 hours a week to his life. He doesn't have to spend any more time. He is fine continuing on the pace, working, excuse me, working 20 to 30 hours a week. And he doesn't even need to do that every single week. He can pick and choose his time. So how much time does it take? Well, I'll tell you. It varies person to person. It varies business to business. I worked an opportunity once where the people who were making what you would consider full-time incomes, they probably worked no more than 15 hours a week. Now, is that true everywhere? Not necessarily. But when you can give up the belief that you have to work a lot of hours to make a lot of money, well, the possibilities are limitless. This guy, for example, 5 times what his corporate job was paying him, and his corporate job was paying him a nice salary. He is just, he is, excuse me, he is now going to be living the rock star lifestyle. The beauty of beginning a home-based business, especially in network marketing and utilizing internet marketing, is that you can work it around any schedule. If you've got kids, if you've got a job, work it around those schedules. Now, you've got to have a daily DMO. You need to know what your income-producing activities are, and you need to do them. And you need to treat it like a business because it's not a hobby. You treat it like a hobby, it's not going to work for you. But you treat it like a business, but you can fit it into your schedule. You can work it around your schedule. I do all of my work when my kids are at school or my wife and kids are in bed. You can work this around your schedule. If you've only got 2 hours a night to do it in the beginning, spend 2 hours a night to do it in the beginning. It may take you a little bit longer, but again, you are building an asset. You're building a money-making machine. And the work that you do is not going to be lost. Do you think that it makes more sense to spend 2 hours a night building something that is going to continue to pay you this month, next year? Or is it smarter to get a job, at a store in the mall where you can spend 2 hours a night and every week you hit the reset button and you go back to zero? And if you're sick and you can't go into work, well, you're not getting paid. Give up the belief that the amount that you can make is tied to the amount of hours you work, and watch what happens. Watch what happens. I mean, it's great. Most people I know are at work right now. I'm sitting on the beach, watching the ocean, getting ready to go for a walk, and I'll be home in time to get my kids off the bus. How much time does it take? There's no one answer, but it's not as much as you think. And you can do this. You can fit this into your schedule, whatever your schedule is. Make it a great day. You absolutely deserve it.